Miss Martha! Miss Martha!
Girls, we all need to help. Quickly, he's losing blood.
I pray that the Lord see fit to restore the health of the wounded soldier.
We ask for your protection over our school, and we pray that we will be kept from harm throughout the night.
Amen.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Cinemaholic Productions. My name is Spencer Henderson, and I am a Cinemaholic.
My name is Ryan Gordon, and I am a Cinemaholic as well. And today we are talking about the new Sofia Coppola movie, which is The Beguiled, which is actually a remake of a movie and also an adaptation of a book. Now this has, I will get into it now, this has taken some liberties and goes not necessarily the same exact way as the original movie as well as the book. I personally have not read or seen the original movie, so Spencer will be expounding a little bit about that. As I said, this is Sofia Coppola's newest movie. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival just about a month ago now, starring Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, and Colin Farrell. So Spencer, tell us a little bit about what you thought about this movie.
So remake of the Clint Eastwood film, as Ryan said, I've never read the book, but I have seen the original movie. This is quite a bit different from the original. I want to start off by saying I'm a fan of Sofia Coppola, particularly because of Lost in Translation. That's actually one of my favorite movies ever, probably. It's a really, really great film. So hearing her name was attached to this, and kind of, I like the original. The original is pretty good. It's quite a bit different from this, like I said. I was looking forward to this movie, and I really wound up liking this movie quite a bit. I think that it is an exploration of desire, both of male and female, and the setting and the way that we see these characters communicate really takes that in interesting directions. It is particularly in this one, I think it's because the fact that it's directed by a female, it more explores the female desire, whereas the original more explored the male desire. And I really thought it was way more interesting from the female desire standpoint. We get to see kind of like the kind of how females kind of in that day viewed sexuality in different age groups. Like we have Nicole Kidman's character, who is probably early or late to mid 40s, and Kirsten Dunst, who is probably in her 20s, and Elle Fanning's character, who is in her teens. And then we have some younger girls in this house, and it was really interesting to see the way they each communicated with this character. The thing that this movie does so much different from the original is the ambiguity of the character of, what's his name, McBurney, Colonel McBurney. He, in this movie, you don't really know what his motivations are. You don't really know what he wants. And I thought Colin Farrell did a fine job of displaying that. I think the real standout of this movie for me was Nicole Kidman. And I also do think that Sofia Coppola's direction was really, really good in this movie. I thought she did an excellent job with the way the camera moved, how like it was there were lots of close-up shots of like characters in this movie. And I thought that it would show just the look on their face. And I thought that she did a great job of telling these people how they needed to look in this particular scene. So I really wound up liking this movie. What did you think of it, Ryan?
I told you right at the beginning, right before we started filming, and I'll echo it. I'm very confused about this movie. And I think hearing kind of your thoughts helped a little bit and helped me make some more firm conclusions on this. Overall, I think this is a very excellent case study on human nature and desires. And I really enjoyed that, and I dug that a lot. Just the way, like you said, that they were able to convey emotions and what were going on within these people's heads, and how you were able, exactly like you said, view the different age groups on how they kind of all assessed and handled this situation. I found that very intriguing, and I loved how they explored that, and that was kind of the highlight of the film for me. I agree with Nicole Kidman. She was amazing, and I really did like Colin Farrell's character, McBurney. I liked the way that was all kind of wrapped up. That being said, this is a very short movie, which I also enjoyed. It clocks in at like 1 hour and 33 minutes. I will say it begins to wrap up around an hour 20. It starts to wrap up. And by that time, I kind of sat there and I had realized that I was intrigued with the human nature aspect of it, but I didn't really care for any of the characters. And I wasn't rooting for the women, any of the women specifically or in general, as well as I wasn't really rooting for McBurney. And I think that kind of left a little bit of a negative taste in my mouth, because I was like, as interesting as it is, I still wasn't rooting for anyone to come out alive, like, woohoo, save the day kind of a thing. And I don't think that's what she was going for by any means. But the way it did wrap up at the end, I felt satisfied with the ending, and specifically the cinematography, how that all kind of pulled off at the end, and the specific shots. They were very well placed, and they were there for specific reasons. And I really enjoyed that. And the whole wrap up of the whole thing, I didn't feel emotionally satisfied really with one way or the other of kind of the ending, which maybe that's just her specific approach to the story. Do you have any thoughts? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, well, I don't think you're crazy. I just am really fascinated by what you're saying, because I totally was on the girl's side. Not specifically, and I should articulate a little bit. Kirsten Dunst in this movie, her motivations are all over the place. I kind of understood that her character, I think she was a very interesting character, because I think we should just say spoilers from here on out in the review. Her character was somebody who really kind of was confined to this one area. She felt like she was confined and she wanted to leave. There's that moment where her and Colin Farrell are talking, and she says that more than anything, she wants to be taken away from there. And I think towards the end of the movie, when the S starts to hit the F, that she kind of was more the person who stayed attached to that idea. And I think every other girl side I was on, like Nicole Kidman was kind of like, oh man, this is getting too out of hand. This has gotten out of line. We need to do something and solve this situation, because Colin Farrell's character, McBurney, at the end does go totally crazy and literally gets to the point where he's threatening little girls. And that's the point where it's kind of just like, okay, they don't really have a dog in this fight. They had no choice over them cutting his leg off. So I was definitely on like their side at the end of the movie. And I think that, to me, I mean, that's why I'm so interested by what you said. And I felt more like that in the original, is that it was very ambiguous on whose side you were supposed to be on. This one I thought was framed very specifically towards the women. So I think it's really interesting that we have kind of differing views on that.
And I don't know, because like I said, the case study and being able to go into each person's mindset was very, very intriguing and so well done that it was like everyone had their pros and cons and everyone had their motivations. And I really did enjoy that. And I think that ultimately is kind of why I wasn't satisfied as well, because I could get behind every character for a specific reason or a specific thing they did. But at the same time, she did very well directing this and showing us that they all had another side, except for the little kids. I think she did very well with that as well, kind of portraying an innocence and stuff. And so I was just kind of left at the end like, I get why everyone is doing what they're doing. I see the chess pieces being moved and stuff, and I don't know. And maybe that's the thing, is I just didn't know who to root for, because I could see where he was coming from. By all means, he had just gotten his leg chopped off.
Oh, what have you done to me, you vengeful bitches?
But at the same time, they needed to do it.
Right, and that's the thing that I found so interesting about this one. In the original movie, that part was a lot more horrific because it was framed that they did not need to do that. But there's specifically a line in this remake where she's like, if we don't do it, he's going to die. And so he when he came out, I mean, I get that he was in shock and he was like nervous, but then he started getting to the point where he's just becoming illogical, in my opinion. My flaw with the movie is more Elle Fanning's character, and specifically because at the beginning, she obviously it was more exploring kind of like, you know, teenage sexuality and desire. And then it hits a point where she just totally throws his character like under the bus. And I think maybe it was because she was being self-serving, but I feel like that's what I wanted them to explore a little bit more, was her entire approach to that situation. Because at first she seems kind of like, you know, totally against the idea of having a Northern soldier, which I thought that was really interesting, the dynamic between the North and the South and how it's explored in this movie. But then she just totally goes nuts. And I just, that whole entire character kind of, I feel like I wanted more from that, and her performance was fine. I guess it was just the script and the direction that kind of I wish would have dug more into that, because I think Nicole Kidman's a good enough actress where when she gives a look at the camera, we know what she's thinking. She has a very expressive face, and that kind of told me more about her, and that's why I think she's the MVP of this movie. But with Elle Fanning, I don't know. I just don't know if she's at that point yet, or if the script just didn't articulate that enough.
I agree with you. There is one more thing that I wanted to ask you before we wrap it up. It has to do with her specific line where she says, "We have to, or he's gonna die. We have to cut his leg off." Later on, he kind of implies, maybe I just missed this, but it kind of he implies that she cut the leg off because he wouldn't go to her room, or was he talking about Kirsten Dunst's character?
I think he was talking about Nicole Kidman's, and that's another thing about this movie that was strange, is it's just like, that's the other thing. Maybe you are right, and maybe she didn't have to cut his leg off. It seemed pretty clear that she did in that day due to infection,
Right.
But he seemed to think that he was on to the desire that everybody had towards his character. And with Nicole Kidman, there definitely was some tension between the two characters where I was getting that vibe as well. And I think that's the vibe that she was supposed to be giving to him, was, you know, she's an older lady who's kind of, you know, that hasn't had, her husband was lost in the war, it says at some point. And so that seems to be where his approach to the problem is. Like, he thinks that it's all due to him, like his charisma, I suppose, which might just be a statement on like kind of the way that guys view themselves, or something. I'm not really sure. I guess need maybe even a little more time to kind of think on that, or another watch of the movie to kind of get into that.
I think so. And I think I'm going to actually go and see it again this week and see kind of where I stand overall with it. Because like I said, overall, I think I enjoyed it enough to go and see it again, and that I have respect for what it did and what it accomplished and what it was going for. Just kind of overall, I don't think I was as thrilled as I kind of wanted to be. And it was very weird going in because I didn't look anything up about this. I just went into it blind, except for I did check the runtime, and I noticed on IMDb it was listed as like a drama something, but then on Fandango, when I was looking up showtimes, Fandango had it listed as a suspense. And I think I felt more of the drama throughout the whole thing, and so I was kind of like, oh, where's the suspense? Where's the suspense? And that might have been a factor into the whole thing, was I didn't really know what to expect. But overall, I was pleased with it. I'm gonna give it a straight up 7. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. I just wasn't as satisfied as I hoped I could have been.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit higher than you. I think I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I would definitely recommend, if you have interest in this movie, if you've seen the original and you want to see how this one plays out, or if you like Sofia Coppola, to go check this movie out, just because it's an interesting movie. And I really do think so far this year has been a really solid year for movies. Like, there haven't been too many stinkers. There's been ones like, you know, Book of Henry or Rings or Bye Bye Man. But there have been other just like great surprises so far this year. And I'm really curious to see how the rest of this summer plays out. So, by the way, guys, if The Big Sick is in the city that you happen to be in at this point, please go see that movie so it can get a huge expansion. I want this movie to be like the sleeper hit of the year. So
It's in Denver right now.
Yep, I saw that.
And for Utah people, it comes to Salt Lake City on July 7th. So next Thursday, it's coming here. So
this Thursday.
This Thursday. So I expect everybody to go out this week. I'm going to go multiple times. I know that for sure. I need to sit down and make an official choice, but I think this might be my favorite of the year so far. I could watch this on repeat over and over and over again. So definitely go check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at @Rye_Gordon. Spencer, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHand. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to tune in this week for our review of Spider-Man Homecoming, and maybe I'll do a more extensive review of Ghost Story or something. Maybe Ryan's up for that as well. Who knows? He hated the movie. So, but until next time, bye.